Andrea Jenkyns has accused the EU of keeping post-Brexit trade talks going for as long as possible to wear the UK down. The Conservative MP warned against extending the end of 2020 deadline for a free trade agreement. And she hit out at the EU for delaying and procrastinating to get what they want in negotiations. Ms. Jenkins told Express, "This is about keeping our promises to the British people and focusing minds in the negotiations. With the technology available, it is easy to have meetings and continue with the negotiations. This is a typical tactic of the European Union to delay and procrastinate, to keep it going for as long as possible so in the end they can wear us down and get what they want. We have left the European Union. If the EU want a free trade deal, they need to act in a grown-up businesslike fashion. Our country is ready to trade across the world." Ms. Jenkins added that sticking to the deadline for a deal remains important despite the coronavirus crisis. She said, "In every conceivable case, especially where trade is concerned, certainty is a positive and helpful thing to all sides. It comes after the UK's chief Brexit negotiator David Frost said very little progress had been made after the third round of talks ended on Friday. Mr. Frost blamed the EU's fishing and level playing field demands. He said the bloc's insistence on including a set of novel and unbalanced proposals on the level playing field was a major obstacle. And he said it is hard to understand why the EU insists on an ideological approach to negotiations on fishing arrangements." Mr. Frost added, "We very much need a change in EU approach for the next round beginning on June 1. In order to facilitate those discussions, we intend to make public all the UK draft legal texts during next week, so that the EU's member states and interested observers can see our approach in detail." A senior UK official close to the negotiations said the problem continues to be that the EU thinks that a kind of halfway house between what we're willing to see on the so-called level playing field and what they're willing to see. The official added, "As we've tried to make clear from the start, there isn't a halfway house. We can't split the difference between areas where we control our own laws and waters, and those that we don't." The official said both sides remained optimistic a deal could be struck, and that it was easy to see how a pretty standard and major free trade agreement could be agreed quite quickly. But they added, "We've always made clear that if an agreement can't be reached, then trading on what we call Australia terms is perfectly doable and satisfactory." The EU's chief Brexit negotiator Michel Barnier insisted the UK could not have the best of both worlds in a deal. Britain is in a transition period with Brussels until December 31, 2020. Prime Minister Boris Johnson has repeatedly said he will not extend the deadline for a free trade agreement.